Hi everybody and welcome back. My name is Daniel. I'm a software engineer and consultant. And welcome back to the video series all about cucumber diseases, which is where I talk about and fix code smells in cucumber and gherkin implementations. Doing that with a project that a colleague and I set up called Cucumber Diseases on GitHub and work through some exercises. In the first video, I introduced the whole project, talk about how to basically set it up and fix the first very easy code smell so that you can get a feeling of how this is done. In this video, I'm going to take up the next code smell and we're going to fix that. So once again, what is this project about? So if you go to cucumber-diseases.github.io, you will find this webpage where we collected a variety of code smells. We call them cucumber smells because they are for gherkin cucumber BDD implementations. You can find them. I introduced that in the last video. There is or will be a video also about what are code smells, how does cucumber work overall, to round it up a bit more very soon. So in the first video, I introduced the project and fixed this code smell called the missing then implementation. As with the first video, I'm going to do this in Go. We support or already support a variety of other languages. As you can see here, we have Java, Python, Go, and C# readily available. So before we start, a quick shout out to my colleague, the guy who actually came up with this idea and is running that in a workshop series on, I think, 8th or 9th of October 2024 at Automation Star in Vienna. If we take a look here, you can see quite a variety of contributors, and Roland Gam is the one who came up with that. So that's his GitHub profile. So a big shout out to him because he came up with that idea and with the overall setup that I can contribute to. So without further ado, let's get into the second code smell. So we go to deliberate exercises, which is the page where we guide you one by one through fixing the code smells. And take a look at exercise 2, which is called remove the unused given parameter. So the unused given parameter, that's the smell this exercise is related to. Let's open it up and quickly read through it. What is this about? So an unused given parameter occurs whenever a field or a property may be initialized within a given step within our gherkin scenario, but eventually remains unused throughout the scenario. This is like setting up a variable or resource, but never actually using that in any of the further steps. That may occur because you refactored some steps, or you already have this kind of legacy test setup where you thought you might going to use that one parameter for the object under test, but then eventually end up either removing it from the code or not using it at all because it's not relevant to the test. So this may also be related to some issues within the code logic where you have obviously some data attributes that are not relevant to business logics. But that stuff occurs very frequently. So let's see, what's the impact here? So if you have that in the code, the biggest problem is that you have misleading test code. So you created a scenario with a step that seems like it's relevant, but eventually won't be. So that drags then on to make maintenance harder because people feel inclined to keep that up to date, always wondering about why is that step there, what does it do, maybe even accumulating code around that. That's not really required. So that also increases the complexity and of the scenarios because we have more moving parts. So if we find that, what should we do? So we advise to either remove it if you don't need it in your business logic, or figure out if it's relevant to your business logics and then use it within the code, right? So it's plain and simple. You have a data attribute that you're not using during your test execution. Either it's not required for the business logics, then you should get rid of it, or it is relevant, but you're not testing it, then you should include it in some of your assertions or tests. So then let's take a look at the implementation. I didn't change anything in the repo. We whip up a terminal and we can see the git log. So I worked on that yesterday, and what I did was fix the missing then implementation. So if we do a git diff to that one, so we can see that's the fixes I did in the first video, getting rid of that missing assertion in the customer creation should be successful step. So this is where I based this off. Okay, so what we're looking for now is, let's get back to the smell, or let's get back to the exercise. So having understood the smell, what is the task at hand? So there is, in our test scenarios, there is a step implementation where there is a field which is initialized in a given step, but is never used. So we're going to search for that field, figure out what it is, and then decide what to do with it. So first thing I'm going to do here is quit the terminal, and then let's open the test scenario. So it's in features, customer.feature, and then let me split my view here and open our test step implementation. We're going to open the test step implementation on the left side and the feature implementation on the right side. So we are specifically looking at given steps. Okay, so let's filter out all the given steps and see which fields to initialize. So the first one is given the customer first name is Max. Okay, so let's see, given the customer first name is, this is the step here, it sets t.firstname. We can see that is used in customer service, add customer t first name. So that's not the interesting one. Let's go to the next one. Given there are no customers, let's see, given, we will have to find a step here. It's always written as there are no customers. Okay, that one seems interesting, but this is not the smell we're looking for, right? This may be a different smell that we come across in one of the other videos, but it just does nothing. Okay, fine, that's not what we're looking for, because we are looking for something where a data field is initialized that we're not going to use. Okay, given there are no customers and the customer name is Rose Smith, let's see what that does. So let's search again for the customer name is... So we have the, I'm changing code. I don't want to do that. So the customer name is, okay, that seems to be the step implementation. We can see here the customer name is, that's its first and last name. Okay, we already know that most likely anything about setting first and last name, that won't be it, because that's used in creating customers. So let's see. Then we have given the customer name is, we have that already. Then name set, name setting, setting name. Oh, I skipped something up there. There are some the end clauses. Let's take a look at that. The first name is Max, last name is Masterman, okay, and the customer's birthday is, let's see what that does. Okay, the customer birthday is, what does it do? It obviously takes in a date, we can see here. It takes this date format. So we're going to get that as the BD variable into the test function. Okay, this defines the layout, because in Go we have to parse the format. So this is why what we do here, time.parse with the layout and the date, okay, and we assigned it to dt.birthday. Okay, let's see where we use t.birthday. Okay, we don't really do that. So that may be the field that we're looking for. Let's look for, are there any rules how we can use or evaluate that? So let's see now scenarios, because I don't know much about the system on the test, but we see also that the customer's birthday is also only referenced here once. And there are the verifications of the customer creation should be successful. Let me search for the customer creation should be successful. Okay, should be successful does nothing else than checking whether there was an error in the customer creation. So that may not be it. Let's look for any other steps. Are there any other business rules we can see? So the first and the last, these are the rules, by the way. So Gherkin supports a nice format where we can have the rule highlighted. Let's see if they tell us something. So we can create a custom with a username. Birthday is not relevant for that. The first name and last name must be provided. Well, that's also about names, not about the birthday. The customer name must be unique, also about the name. Existing customers can be searched. Doesn't have to do anything with the birth date as well. So, as it seems like in this feature file, we don't have a business rule for how to deal with birthday. That brings up the question, is the birthday relevant for the business logic at all? So in a real world scenario, we should take that and bring that to people from the business and ask them, like, should there be any logic involved? Because we can also take a look here at the customer care implementation. I'm going to put that into the second side here. We can also see, is there anything in our code happening with a birthday? Okay, we save it. When we create a new customer, we need a birthday, obviously, but we have that covered in our test suite with default birthday. Okay, so we use that everywhere we create a customer. So let's see if there is any reference to customer to the birthday field. So we have it in adding a customer, we have it in creating a new customer. There is something to removing a customer. So obviously when we want to remove a customer, we have to identify them. You can see it here with the first name, the last name, and the birthday. So if we would be looking to bring in some useful business logic, we should create a rule or scenario in our feature file for removing customers, for example. So, but the easier way for this video would be to just remove the customer attribute from our tests and to clean them up. And as our intention here is to only clean up the code and not introduce new business rules, which as developers here we can't do on our own, I think the safer way is removing it. So let's open up the feature file here once again. What do we have to do to remove it? Removing it is rather simple. We can go there and just delete that line. And then we have no further reference to that step definition. And we can safely remove it in the test step code as well. So let's switch over to the customer test definition. By the way, I'm going to close that second field here so that we have a better view on the code. So right on the top here, we have in our test step context, we have that birthday field. We can just remove that. I'll let the G on the string. And then it immediately tells us, well, down here there is an error because the birthday function does no longer exist. We won't need this whole step definition at all anymore if we remove the customer birthday assignment. So let's remove that. Ta-da. And if we save that, we will see that down there, here you can see it tells me there's another error. So let's go down there and see where that crops up. That is here. Okay, that is of course because we just removed the step definition for the customer birthday is, so we remove the step function, so we can also remove the step function. Then let's save that. Okay, you can see here all our errors and warnings are cleared. Now let's whip up a terminal and run go test and see what happens. So, okay, all the steps passed, which means we didn't introduce a new error, we fixed the code smell by removing it. The other way, and I'm also going through that right now, would be to go to the customer feature file and write a new rule in there. So in general, we're doing BDD. As developers or testers, we shouldn't just infer the rules, so we should talk with people from the business. But as I can see here in the remove function, there's a clear business logic there for it. So we implemented some features, we're just missing the tests. I'm just going to show you the other route of dealing with that smell to include it in the test logic. So let's quickly undo our changes here. So let's introduce a new rule. Let's call that removing customers actually removes them from the customer list. So scenario 1 would be remove an existing customer, which means, okay, what do we have here? We have given the customer name is Tony Star. Oh, it's come totally Stark. So, and the what is it? Customer's birthday is. Let's see. How did we have to do that? Let's go down there. The customer's birthday is. And what's the date format once again? Year, month, day. Okay. So, and the customer's birthday is 2009, 10, 2. Okay, so 2nd October 2009. Fairly young lad, obviously. So then, when the customer is removed, then the customer, is there a step for, let's see what we have here. Can we search for a customer? Then the customer cannot be found. Okay, let's use that. Then the customer cannot be found. Okay, let's save that. Let's whip up a terminal and run go test. Let's see what happens there. Okay, so it tells us okay, it tells us undefined step. So obviously the customer is removed wasn't defined. And for some reason it's talking about the customer birthday. Maybe I missed it. That the customer's birthday is. Let's copy that once again. Let's see if we did it correctly. Oh, I did a mistake here. Okay. So let's run go test once again. Okay, now it tells us, of course, we introduced a new when step, which is when the customer is removed, and that is not defined right now. The cool thing about Cucumber in general is it already tells you what you need to implement. So here it tells us we need to implement this function. I'm just going to just copy that, open up the test code, run go test once again to see what we have to implement. Yeah, and then see, I'm just going to copy that function here. Just going to paste it there. Just some things we have to customize with the default that Cucumber is providing us is we have to bind it to the custom test steps part, and here we have to implement some code. Okay. So our code is t.customerservice.remove customer, and we're just going to remove it based on first name and on last name and t.birthday. And then we have to return nil because that's a when step. A when step doesn't return any error by our definition. And finally, we have to add this part here to the. We have to add this to the step definition. Instead of context, it's called sc in the code here. Okay, and of course it's called t dot the custom is removed. Saving that and running go test once again. Okay, we can see one step failed. Okay, so obviously removing the customer resulted in a step that wasn't used before. So let's investigate what's wrong here. Okay, so there's obviously an error in the assertion here. Let's see what verify.nil actually does. Nil tests if right interface is nil. Use only for interfaces. Okay, that wasn't used for interface, so that was obviously an error in the initial test setup. Okay, it just took me a moment to look up how to assert it correctly. So we have to use object 0 to do that. That should be the correct assertion. So let's run go test again. And okay, now everything passed. So as you can see, that would be the second route to fixing that error. Just let me close the terminal once again to go over it. The one path was removing the birthday checking completely, and the second path was doing something useful with it and testing the logic. Obviously, customer.go has some logic around removing a customer where the birthday is required. So you can see up here, I removed that the birthday is because that scenario is not relevant, and we shouldn't initialize states in scenarios that we don't need. It's about keeping the context small. But on the other hand, what we did is we introduced a new rule about removing the customers, how to remove an existing customer. We used the birthday here, and then we implemented a when step and checked whether it was successful. Of course, now we could implement additional scenarios about removing a non-existing customer and so on and so on. But I leave that up to you. So these are the two ways how to deal with that smell. So we actually fixed that exercise. So as you see, there are two routes: either removing the birthday, that's the first part we did, or using it correctly in our assertions. In the next video, I'm going to pick up that smell 3, the data collector smell. We're going to look into that and see what that is about and how we fix it. If you want to work through the exercise on your own, go to cucumber-diseases.github.io, clone the repository as described there, and then start working off the main branch one by one. And I'm happy to hear your feedback. Apart from that, have a great day and farewell.